couldn't resist its call. It only wishes to show you what is hidden from us, behind the thinnest veils fluttering within our reality. How easily our perceptions can be pulled apart and made witness to beautiful nightmares. Listen to the tales from the white noise.
I hope that voice actor is getting paid well for reading through these intros.
Adam, serious question. Are you a dick professionally, or is this just a very serious hobby for you?
Yes?
Anyway, he's got a point. I mean, you hear how easily people snap due to traumatic experiences and shit.
Oh, do not equate actual psychological trauma to this Freddy's nightmares bollocks, Tulleth.
I'm just saying people don't have infinite endurance, and that can show weird results. Like that kidnapper in America they caught a couple of days ago. They plugged him with 5 fucking bullets and he was still smiling the whole way through.
Is that from the actual police report or something you saw on Reddit?
It was a Reddit link to a police report. Royally freaked the cops out, apparently.
Uh-huh.
Fuck you! At least I'm making some sort of correlation. Trying to understand the reason this station acts this way. What?
I didn't say anything. What I was going to ask, though, was that you actually think that this station is trying to drive people insane.
Well, it is possible. It at least gives a reason for the secrecy and roaming signal.
I mean, would you call that driving people into insanity? If anything, it's just confusing people, or it's just part of some elaborate viral marketing.
How is changing the frequency of your station good marketing? And have it play at random with no schedule?
Maybe they're bad at it.
There hasn't even been any promotions or calls to action or anything. No Patreon link, no merch store, no nothing.
I think you're putting a little too much thought into this, Tulleth.
Which is exactly what they want.
I swear, if that's not a joke, you are moving out tomorrow.
Better column A, better column B.
You're not going crazy, Tulleth. You're just being overly enthusiastic as usual about this, which is great and all. Especially for the podcast. Just, don't get too obsessed.
What about that weird interference that always turns up even when you've finished editing the episodes?
I'm using an assortment of programs that are Frankenstein together and only working a sheer miracle. We're going to get some weird distortions here and there, so stop overthinking things. I've already had enough experience of you talking at me about fucking Warhammer. Don't make it the same with this.
Oh, come on, the lore's... You're going to cut all of that out, aren't you?
I consider doing so an act of humanitarian aid.
Well, I consider it you being an asshole.
Better column A, better column B.
Alright, smart arse. At least I'm adding something to this, though.
And so am I. I'm bringing the skeptic side to balance out your weirdness. The Scully to your Mulder.
My what?
Never mind. What's the damn story?
It's a love story, actually.
Oh. Bit of a tone shift, isn't it?
No. Just have a listen. As always, folks, I'm Tulleth.
And I'm Adam.
And this is All You Need Is Love.
June 2nd. It's been really hard getting back to the dating scene since Matt died. It's been just over a year, and part of me still feels really raw about it. But this is what he would have wanted. It's just that I keep seeing him everywhere. Even when I talk to other people, they have certain qualities that remind me of Matt. Like tonight, I was in the bar that we both met in, Hardy's. And there was this guy who looked at me in the same way Matt did when we first met. We kept eye contact, and he ended up sidling over to me, all confident, like he bought me my next drink, and then one thing led to another. It did get a little messy, but I'd probably put that down to the heat of the moment, mixed with just how much I missed him, but, well, I don't really even remember his name. It's not like that matters. Those gorgeous blue eyes of his will stay with me for a long time. June 5th. After the rather whirlwind fling with what's-his-name gave me the spark I needed, I decided to try it again. Be a little more adventurous. Matt would have understood that this was for the best, and I deserve to be happy again. It's not too much to ask, is it? I learned this one's name, at least. Jacob. And, oh, he was so sweet. Such a nervous guy. He looked ready to jump when I came over to him, but his friends egged him on. Perfect wingman. I don't know what it was, but he just carried himself so nicely despite all that modesty. Plus, he had cheekbones to die for. I got a lot out of my system being with him. Something was missing, though. Not his fault, that's just the way we're made, isn't it? I would come back to sweet Jacob now and again and find something new about him I just needed to have. Good guys like that are hard to come by, believe me. June 14th. I got all I could from Jacob, but now I was feeling adventurous. Why not have a tedious little back and forth with one guy when I could make some real magic with, like, 5 of them? Seriously, though, I never thought about doing anything like that, but life's been so hectic, I deserve to really go for it, right? Although I've got to admit it did end up being a bit of a mess. Once one guy's finished, the rest end up having to as well. Barely have enough energy and they're just so loud. Listen to me. Even for a diary entry, I think this is getting a little too crude. It's true, though. The neighbours nearly heard the whole thing, and that would have been the last thing anyone needs. Ended up being pretty worthwhile as an experience in the long run, but I did make a mental note not to try that again. Some girls just don't have the strength. But I feel like this is an awakening. A breakthrough, I guess. Something to help me cope. These things don't have to be so meaningless, these flings of mine. June 15th. This new outlook I wanted to go on had to start fast, and I was getting impatient. First things were first, though. The mess from last night needed to be taken care of, which took a few hours. And I do mean hours. But I had to be quick, so it didn't spoil the evening I had planned. Spoil a few other things as well. I didn't go to Hardy's this time. Rumours were starting to spread, and that's an atmosphere I'd like to avoid. Instead, there was this other place. Reverb. Fucking stupid name, but when do nightclubs have good names? Everyone knows I hate nightclubs. The music's loud enough to make the blood vibrate in my ears, and every third guy has enough date rape drugs on hand to take down a bull elephant. But Reverb was popular, and that meant there were plenty of prospects. One guy tried to buy me a drink, but he had nothing for me. No spark, no features worth my attention. Oh, he tried to get me to notice him, and he was definitely the type that didn't like the word no. Luckily, I was saved by this tall, smooth number who was out with friends on a stag do. Simon, I think. Getting really bad with names. So much to work with him, let me tell you. His white shirt was near transparent, barely hiding that nice torso. I wish Matt had a body like that. It sounds shallow, I know, but, well, he always wanted to be a bit less scrawny. He wanted a lot of things. We both did. But that was taken away from us. And now I am taking things back, taking it all back, and even a bit more of it. Why shouldn't I? I deserve to be happy. Matt deserved to live. Some smug prick thinks he can make a move on me. He's lucky I don't shank him in his fucking ribs. That'd be a waste of a night. Simon stepping in like that was divine intervention. Nice body, good height. His face was a little off than what I usually like, but I could work with that. I was so ready to bring him home, and I made sure not to be too rough. It was slow and gentle. After that, I spent the whole night with a scalpel and practised my sewing. It's good I kept this up after school, and even got some good thread. The invisible kind. Anything else in the whole thing would have looked a little bit too patchwork. This deserved care and attention. It was cold in my flat. Really cold. It's gotten too big for the fridge now that it's starting to come together, and this is going to be a warm summer. I can feel it. It really has been a long while, but Everything has to be perfect. I went through every angle to as fine a detail as I could, lost count of the days, the pieces, where they came from, who they were from, and all of it just became raw materials at that point. I haven't left the house in so long. Haven't eaten that much either. Leftovers and unused parts start festering, and I lost my appetite. It'll be fine. It'll be worth it. It has to be. June 20th. Everything was laid out as it said in this book that I found at some rundown old shop the other side of town a while ago. I placed him in a chair, and around a circle of salt with symbols in chalk all drawn as carefully as I could. He was so serene, sat there as I pumped the fresh blood into him. Made a few of the stitches seep a little, but there was no time to clean him up or even clothe him. He just sat there, limp and naked like a bloodied rag doll. His eyes were so hollow and empty, and the red from the transfusions were making the fragments along the face so pronounced. It was hideous. An imitation. It wasn't him, it wasn't my Matt. Not yet. The book laid out the... well, I don't want to call it spell. That's too childish. Incantation? Pretentious, a bit. Process. That'll have to do. The book laid out the process carefully. A star of blood on his chest, the burning of a mandrake, candles of black wax. All to bring him back. Back from wherever he is. The words were old and felt dark when spoken. Every syllable burned in my chest, and I should have stopped as I began. Instead, I saw it as a sign. A sign to keep going, keep trying. I'd done so much, this had to work. And yet, after it was all done, nothing. That feeling when I spoke those hideous words was just that, a feeling. They died for nothing, just like Matt. All I had done was build a doll, a life-size doll mouldering away in front of my eyes. I was ready to just fling myself out the window, but before that, I just wanted to hold him. It might not have been him, but it was close enough. I walked through the salt and the chalk and the other Alistair Crowley bullshit and just sat there with my head in his lap. It was freezing, but I rested there anyway. And then, a miracle happened. A twitch of the hand. A couple of fingers, but I saw it, and then the whole hand. It made me jump back to my feet. The chest swelled and the eyes fluttered. Oh my God! It was him! It was him! His breaths were shallow and he looked ready to panic, so I held him close and I carried him up to his feet. Matt! And he was Matt! He was Matt! He leaned on me. He was a little on the Bambi side, but it was all right. I held him close as we rocked back and forth. I held his hand in mine, squeezing them tight. We swayed and we twirled, the blood residue smothering me as he looked ahead and back to me, confused. Did he not remember? Did I do something wrong? And then he whispered one word. Darling. And I knew. Our dance became a waltz of blood and gristle and tears as we kissed among the gore, embracing each other in this display of love, defying nature, defying death. Whatever God was out there wanted this, wanted our souls to be together again. Matt felt cautious when his lips met mine, but it was all right. No force in the world could drive us apart again. That pain, all that death, had a purpose now. That was all a person needed to do anything, to look into darkness and swim in its black shores. All you need is love.
What?
I wonder if it killed her.
Ooh, is someone getting invested?
I've always been invested in some way, Tulleth. I just have my critic hat on most of the time. And that's the thing with anthologies. Not everything is to everyone's taste.
Fair. I think he did kill her, though.
Interesting that you'd call it a he. You think it actually was the boyfriend?
It's the whole be careful what you wish for shtick. Oh, cool, my boyfriend's back from the dead. Oh, God, the existential nightmare he must be having. Stab all my hubris in playing God. Dead.
Not a bad theory. I guess some of the playing with forces from beyond never ends well kind of gig. There's also the possibility of them actually getting along.
A serial killer and a flesh golem as a functional couple.
This year's best romantic comedy.
We really know how to dull the tone to this shit.
We are providing clever commentary that just so happens to sound like we're complete dumbasses. It's art! Anyway, at least this one had one of your precious rituals in it.
That is true, which I still think is a motif for something. Anyway, if anyone's listening wants to help us with our quote-unquote art, drop us a line. Our email's in the description. Just send forward anything you have, or anything you want to help with. And if you're the guy who's making this, please, for the love of God, send us a message. Like, seriously, this is cool as fuck. Why are you not telling people this shit?
I mean, we are basically giving you free advertising.
Exactly. Anyway, thanks to anyone who's listening. We'll be back soon with another one of these stories. I'm Tulleth.
And I'm still Adam.
Catch us all later.
You have been listening to Tales of the White Noise, a Nuckelavee production. Written by Tulleth and Cameron Robertson. Adam was played by Cameron Robertson, and once again, Tulleth played himself. This episode's short story was written by Cameron Robertson and performed by Leonie Findlay. The opening theme was composed and performed by Bryn McLernon. All sound effects and other music used are credited within the episode's description. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow us on Twitter at TFTWN for further updates on the series. And if you like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay safe. We'll be watching.